Happy Wednesday. Happy Wednesday, winners. It is our favorite day of the week, and you are now tuned in to the 108th episode of the Ladies in Motion podcast, Talk It Out, where we shine light on women that's winning in the local community. I'm your host, Madam Walker, and I am super excited about today's episode, y'all. This lady, we hit it off as soon as we met. So I know the energy in the room today is going to be through the roof, so I'm super excited to interview her. But before I introduce you, who she is, I need you all to share this video. Share. Our share goal is 50. I want to send a huge congratulations to Marnisha Walker, who was the 50th share of our last video. You're going to get something in the mail. I need you to send me your address so that we can go ahead and get it out to you. But I want to appreciate you and thank you for sharing our episode. And if you're tuned in right now, I know today somebody will be inspired, empowered by the words that will be had today. It's the second Wednesday of Black History Month. Make some noise for my people. Snap. And we got Valentine's Day coming up in a few days. And I'm just a strong believer that before you can love on anybody else, you got to be able to look in the mirror and love what you see beyond the flesh, So we're going to be talking about self-love today and what it means to be resilient. So share this video, y'all. This is an episode you do not want to miss. And if you love somebody and you want to see them win this season, you want to share this episode with them as well, okay? Yes. All right. So before we get into this, I have to do a small introduction of our winning lady today. Her name is Melissa Riley, but all of you may know her as Missy Riley. She is born and raised in North Chicago, Illinois, to be exact, and she's now making motion here in these Atlanta streets. Yeah. She is the founder of the Letters to My Sis Foundation, which is a women's empowerment movement. They impact, they empower. She's a motivational speaker. She's a certified life coach and mindset coach. And y'all, she's just winning. She wears many different hats. She's a wife, she's a mom, she's a sister, she's a friend. And I just really look forward for y'all to get to know her so you can love her as much as I do. So without further ado, I need y'all to welcome Miss Missy Riley to the show. Thank you and welcome to the show.
Yes, talk about giving me my flowers
as
while
we
I'm
should.
Still here. Mm-hmm. I love it.
Well deserved.
It's such an honor to be here on your show. It's such a blessing to be here on your show.
Thank you.
Your presence alone is just amazing. Your energy alone is just amazing. When we first met, the connection that we had was like none other. So I truly am honored to be sitting here next to you today, and I'm so proud of everything that you are doing.
Thank you,
and thank you for thinking of me.
I appreciate you. From the moment we met, y'all, we honestly just connected. Yes. I'm in the restaurant industry. I manage, so I meet a lot of people all the time, and some guests just really stand out, and you get to talking and you find out that you're aligned, you're like-minded. And that's kind of what happened with us. So this is a full circle moment because I remember you telling me about Letters to My Sis and your movement. And then I was telling you about my podcast. And now here I am. It's like a year and a half later. I'm doing what, when I first met you, I was doing it, but virtually because I was still back and forth between Florida. But now I'm here in Atlanta in this new territory and I'm leaving my stamp. Okay, that's what I feel like I'm doing. I'm here and bringing ladies in motion because we're everywhere. We're not just in Florida, but we in Atlanta making moves.
Absolutely.
And some women in North Carolina, they winning too.
Absolutely.
So before we get going, is there anybody you'd like to shout out? Any business partners, sponsorship, mentors, anybody?
Well, first and foremost, I do want to shout out the support that I have. My support group, Letters to My Sis support group, is amazing. The support that they give me is like none other. Mm-hmm. I definitely want to shout out my family who makes it possible for me to do things like this, who gives me the opportunity to just be me, who's patient with me, because of course when you're growing in this and elevating this thing called life, you're pulled in so many different directions. And I just want to shout out my family and especially my husband, Reggie. He is like none other. Reggie, if you're looking at this, I love you. I appreciate you. And to the top we go together. So, yeah, that's all I want to just shout out those that support me and shout out my family.
One time for Reggie,
y'all.
And
my kids and grandkids.
Shout out to them grandkids.
kids.
What?
Yes, I am a grandmother, you all.
Oh my
A
lord.
grandmother of 2. Yes, I have a 5-year-old and a 3-month-old.
Wow.
Amir and Allura. Shout out to y'all.
Well, you learn something new every day.
Yes.
So I'm super excited to just continue getting to know you because I just learned something now. But I'm super excited for the people on my platform to get to know you and just see how you're winning, what you're doing in the community, what you're gonna have coming up next. When you had your event, I had moved back to Florida during that time, so I wasn't able to attend it. But I seen a lot of the clips from it, and in a nutshell, I feel like you're a person who's like pain kind of pushed them to purpose. Even when I was hearing your testimony, that's what stood out to me.
Yeah.
So I would like to just talk a little bit about that. So I like to take it back to the beginning.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
so let's just talk about, early adulthood for Missy Riley. Okay. Let's talk about that. So when you were about 18, 19, were you still in Chicago?
When I was 18, I was actually here in Atlanta
Okay.
College.
Okay.
I was in college. And I experienced in college, I was working full time while in college, and I was still going to school full time. So I had 2 full times. With that, I had a stroke.
At 18
I
and
had a
19
stroke
years
at
old.
18 years old.
So time out, Missy. Okay, because you just deep dive, and I wasn't ready. Okay. Oh my God. Okay, I wasn't ready for that, but we gonna take this back. We gonna slow down. Okay.
Yes.
So you graduated high school in Chicago though?
I did.
And then
I did.
So I want to start there. You just threw me for a loop for that, and we're gonna get back there. But I just like to take it back to that moment before really stepping into adulthood.
Okay.
Like what was it that you even saw yourself doing at that like young tender age before you went to college? Because I feel like at that time, at 18, nobody could tell me nothing. And it wasn't until now in my 30s, it's like, oh, when I hear 18-year-olds say I'm grown, it's like now I understand when my parents used to be like, you ain't grown.
Okay.
Because that's such a tender, just young age.
Yes.
So what was it that you saw yourself doing? Did you see yourself even in this space where you're empowering women and have your own movement of doing this?
I've always had a passion to help.
Okay.
And since I've been a little girl, I always was the helper. I always was the protector. I always was the one to make people know how important they are, how beautiful they are, how needed they are. So in that, even though growing up, I didn't know how to really do it the right way, I was a fighter. And I would never fight people that didn't know how to fight. I was like the protector for those who got bullied.
Right. Okay.
So not knowing at that time, I was being transitioned to where I am today. But learning how to do it the right way, right? Because a lot of things we go through in life, we don't understand that it's really there to equip us. It's really there to elevate us to where we will soon be. Didn't know it at that time,
right.
And then with that, like I said, me being that protector, being that one who always loved on people, didn't want to see people hurt. If the person felt like they weren't pretty enough, I was the one to tell them they were. And so from there, as a child and transitioning into adulthood, I had to fight those demons that I tried to protect others from.
So knowing that you always had that nurturing spirit and the spirit to like uplift and encourage people, what was your major when you were going into school? Like, what did you see yourself doing? Because my best friend, she pursued nursing because she's that person. But then I interviewed Miss Monique Garside, and she was saying, oh, I thought I was going to be a nurse. But she realized, that's how she became a mental health therapist. She realized, I don't like this. This is what I've actually always done. This is what I'm doing now. So I want to ask you, what did you go to school for and try to pursue, like, right off the rip, knowing that you had that?
Yeah, psychology.
Okay. So you went
it was
for
psychology, but it's crazy because when I was in high school, I wanted to be a social worker because I wanted to always help. But and then when I went to school and was doing some research, psychology was my major.
Okay. So you moved to Georgia. Why Georgia? What school did you go to? What made you come here? Did you have family here? It's a lot of people from Chicago here. It really is. I've been meeting a lot of them lately. I really have.
So Georgia, and shout out to Meadow Creek High School too, because I did have some time there in Georgia.
Okay.
So I moved from Chicago briefly, and I came to Georgia to come to high school, and I went to Meadow Creek High School for just a little while. I got kicked out, but we'll talk about that on another day. I told you I was a fighter, right? I told you I was a fighter.
And all kinds of ways.
I'm not there anymore. went to Meadow Creek High School, and it's just when I came to Georgia, it was so much opportunity that I saw.
Okay.
For Black people as a whole. I saw so many Black entrepreneurs. I saw so many Black people just with nice houses. And where I was from in Chicago, we didn't have that. So I was like, wait a minute, this is available to me?
Right.
And so I always knew that whenever I did transition, get older, I want to be in Georgia. And then that's what brought me here. I knew college was this. Even though my parents did not want me to come to college here.
Really?
No.
And so I wanted to talk about that because the reason why I like to ask that question, I do like to ask people, what was your foundation like? Was it someone who, some of us come from a long line of educators and we don't have a choice. Right. You're going to school. Or some of us come from working parents who are like, listen, you want to go to school, I get it, but you go to work. Exactly. You know what I mean? So what was your so they didn't want you, they encouraged your college education, but they didn't want you to go away. Like, just tell me what that was like before you even made that decision. Because that's a young age to even say, no, I'm leaving and this is where I'm going to be. I'm going to go ahead and this is my journey, Yeah. So tell me about that experience.
That was an experience. I actually got accepted to SIU, Southern Illinois University. Okay. But I didn't want to stay in Chicago. I knew that if I stayed in Chicago, it would not be healthy for me because of who I was and because of the reputation that I have now had about fighting. And when people have you have a reputation, you try to uphold a reputation that's really not something that could be positive towards your future. So I knew that I had to get out of Chicago. And I knew I had to do it immediately after high school. A lot of people, my father, he's like, well, you already got accepted to a big university. Why would you want to go to school? Because I went to DeKalb College. What is it called? It was called DeKalb College at that time. Yeah, it was called DeKalb College. And I was like a junior college here in Atlanta. And he's like, so why would you want to transition to a junior college when you got accepted to a university?
I love that.
And I told him I just had to get away. I have to get away from here because I don't see my future being bright here. And so
I love that. No, just because, that's a testament of what we were just talking about. Sometimes, like, not everybody is going to understand, like, your plan or why this is vital that I take this step. You don't see why would I turn down this university and go to this junior college? But Daddy, you understand this is a pivotal decision that I, for my mental health, my well-being, and my future, I have to take this path, even though you don't kind of see that. And I love that because a lot of people's story begins like that, but people do see it in the end when they see the bigger picture, they finally realize, okay, Missy was on something. I see why she went there, Okay, so you made the decision to come to college, at the junior college. Your parents did not want you to leave, but you made that choice anyway.
Yeah, I did.
How long after being here did you have a stroke at such a young age? Were you already having medical problems? Was that just out of left field? Tell me about that. I can't even imagine.
No medical problems at all. Very healthy. I was one who was always full of determination. And being that my father did not want me to come here, I had to deal with, you're just going to meet us when you're here. Or you're going to be calling us every week because, so to prove them wrong, because I'm just that type of person. I love a challenge. Literally, remember. So I love a challenge. So my goal was to not call them and to not depend solely on them, which made me have to get that full-time job and go to school full-time. My parents did not know I was working full-time. They did not know I was both going to school and going to work. I didn't sleep. And when I came from school, I would have people in my apartment waiting to get their hair done. I used to do hair too.
Hustling.
Just so I would not have to call my dad because I literally drove. My mom and dad drove me 12 hours here to Atlanta to come to school, and my dad didn't say a word to me because he was that upset with me. And I'm a daddy's girl. I'm the only girl. That's why he didn't want me to leave. I'm the youngest. I'm the only girl. I have all brothers. So he was like, no, my baby girl's not going anywhere. And so he was really he resented me for that, and he didn't say a word to me. But I got a story behind that too.
And I do want to ask you, like, how do you deal with and have dealt with maybe like disappointing like your parents? Because I will say, when I went home for those few months and I came back here, I felt, I'm like, dang, it is kind of better for me in Georgia. But I did know that I was going to disappoint a lot of people because I do a lot at home, a lot of people
Right.
depend on me, So, and I'm an only girl, my mom, she got 3 boys, so she's like my only girl, so it was a lot, and how did you overcome those feelings of like, them just being disappointed?
Well, it wasn't more so my mother, because my mother was so supportive of it. It was my dad, because I was his only girl. So how I got through it, I cried a lot of nights. A lot of nights, especially when he left and didn't say anything to me. Until I opened my suitcase. Then I opened my suitcase and my dad etched a letter in glass to me.
Oh.
And that gave me so much motivation.
Really?
Because although he didn't like it, he respected my willpower. He respected, me being strong enough to say, I'm going to do it whether you like it or not. So that I dealt with it with a lot of nights of crying. A lot of that I kept that letter right by me. And even calling. It took him a while to start talking to me, but when he did, he finally told me he was proud of me.
And I can only imagine.
Yeah, he finally told me he was proud of me, and that just pushed me even harder. And I still didn't tell him I was working full time. They didn't find out I was working full time until I had my stroke.
So I have to go to the stroke. So how long had you been in school before you had this stroke?
I was in school I just completed my first year.
Okay, the first full year, and you have this stroke. So tell me how that happened. Like, were you home? Were you around someone? Like, I just want to know.
Yeah, I was at
how
home.
That happened.
I was at home, and I woke up, and it was a mild stroke. I woke up, and my whole right side of my face, I couldn't move.
Really?
I could. It was drooped down. I couldn't close my mouth. Everything was just shifted down. And my boyfriend at the time took me. He was over there. He took me straight to the hospital, and they said she's having a stroke. What they call a mild stroke. From there, I called my parents. He called my parents. What took 12 hours to come from Chicago. I don't know how they got here in 6, but they were here in 6 hours. Shout out to Stella and Roger. They were here in 6 hours. And it was from there they telling me, you're not going back to school. You're coming back home to Chicago. You're going to go ahead and take out of school. And that was just my dad's icing on the cake. I think he was happy about that job. So from there, I remember getting out of school and everything, going back home. Where they told me I would have to do neurology there in Chicago. And it would take a while for me to recover. They also told me that my face will never be the same.
And she's slaying here today. You're witnessing this in person. Okay.
They told me I would have a droop for the rest of my life.
Wow, that's amazing.
I did have to glue my eyes shut at night to go to sleep and put an eye cover over my eye. Wow. I couldn't eat food. I would have to do like this to drink liquids. So that did happen. But it only happened for a week when they said it would be happening for a while. By the time I got to neurology, I got home and I rested. And my body rested. By the time I went to my first neurology appointment, they said, we don't need to see you.
Wow. So I was going to ask you, like, what was the road to recovery like? But by the time you even got there, you didn't even need it.
The power of prayer.
The power of just prayer and God is so mind-blowing to me. It's like, you literally can't even fathom it. Even for you to just be so young to have this mild stroke. Wow. So you go to your appointment. They say you don't even need it. How long did you stay at home? Did you like, oh, what, parents, I'm good. I'm going back to Georgia. Like, tell me what was that moving on process like that still got you up to where you are now?
So I did. I said, okay, I'm good. Exactly what you said. Exactly what she said, y'all. I said, well, I'm good. I can go back to school now.
And did they rebuttal it?
My dad definitely was rebuttal towards it. No, you cannot go back to school. This and that. You need to just go to school here and all this stuff. And of course, I couldn't fight him anymore because I was like, man, I scared them. They got there in 6 hours. I owe him that, right? Right. So I stayed and I started working. And because I still did not want to go to school in Illinois, even though I got accepted, I did not want to go to school in Illinois. I did not want to be there. But I started working, and then I ended up pregnant with my daughter
in Chicago.
In Chicago.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so I love that because sometimes, God has a weird way of just kind of giving us what we need, even though we don't understand it. Like you said, you wanted to go back to Georgia, but they kind of had you stay there, and you had to get pregnant with your daughter. And how old were you? Like 19, 20?
No, I was 20.
20?
I had her when I was 21. So I was 20 years old when I got pregnant with my daughter. And it's I can be talking about like, but I was 21 when I got pregnant with my daughter.
We got time. So, I'm sorry. So I have to ask you about that. Yeah. And I just want to say, randomly, the Ladies in Motion word of the week this week is resilience. Resilience. Yes. And this week's winning lady obviously is when you look it up in the dictionary, you're going to see Missy Riley face right there because you are just already have overcome so much in your 20s. Yeah. So you already showed us what it's like to be resilient. And again, I don't need neurology. Okay, I'm going back to Georgia. Yeah. So you had it in you, So now let's talk about that because, I believe that was the beginning of what pushed you to your purpose today.
Yeah.
I could be wrong, but just tell me about being 20. You found out, you're pregnant. Things aren't going as planned. You thought you were going to be in Georgia. Then you had a stroke. Now you're home, and now you're pregnant. So just tell me about that and becoming a mother.
Let me rewind for a second because although I was back home and I was working and everything, never knew my father put a transfer in when I went to college.
Okay.
So I'm fast forward. He put a transfer in to go to Georgia. His transfer got accepted. So I'm still stuck in Chicago. So I'm having my own place at this time, and I ended up pregnant with my daughter. Okay. So fast forward back.
Okay.
Would you say that what you asked me what was
just becoming pregnant and what was that like? Just accepting that new reality and what's about to come. How did you prepare your mindset and yourself for that? Did you still have school in the future? I just want to see what life was like for you around that time.
So school was way back in my mind.
Okay.
Because now I have a baby inside of me that's dependent on me. And how I found out, because I remember I told you I did not want to stay in Chicago. So how I found out I was pregnant with my daughter, I was fighting. I was fighting. Yes, I was fighting. And I did not know that I was pregnant until after we was fighting, I just started spitting up all over the place. And then went to the doctor the next day, they told me I was pregnant.
Wow.
When I heard my daughter's heartbeat, though, it's like my whole life did a whole spin in a direction that God is like, okay, now you're ready to really start learning what this thing called life is about because I have work for you to do. Never knew that all the test, trials, and tribulations I would have to endure with the pregnancy, with the relationship, that it would bring me to who I am today. But I'm so grateful for it because, I'm grateful for it. But it was a transition. It was scary. It was life-changing. It was a reality check. It was a gut punch.
And it's just a gut punch. And I'm just thinking, when you said that, I'm just thinking about you finding out that you're pregnant after you just getting in a fight. You know what I mean? Wow. I'm just looking at you today. You're just so full of love, I just can't even see you being this fighter. Like, what? Because you're taking up for somebody, or just you
protecting myself
and don't protect yourself. Not putting up with no mess, and that's okay, But it's just so crazy to see that. So you find out you're pregnant, you have your daughter. What would you say? So after your daughter, you're 21. You said when she was born. I just want to know, like, once you had her, when did like the letters to my sis seed? You know what I mean? Like, when was that planted? I just want to know, when did that come about? Was it like after you was out of your relationship, or how old was your daughter around this time? Like, just tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah. So letters to my sis was being birthed, and I didn't even know it.
Right.
Yeah. So I was but when the reality finally hit of when it was supposed to come out was when I was at Redan Park with a gun to my head, ready to give up on life.
And how old was your baby?
My daughter was grown at that time, with her own child.
Wow.
My son was 15 or 16. Yeah.
Yeah. So just like at the beginning when you told me you had this stroke, and I was like, wait a minute, what?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna get into that. Okay.
Yeah.
So you go into motherhood.
Mhm.
When I just want to know what it was like in between all of the, like, what was your life like before you became to that woman, that, okay, I am not going to give up on life. I just want to know what was life like in between, because you obviously had your daughter, then eventually somewhere down the line you had a son. Were you just working full time? Did you ever go back to school? Was it before? I just want to know before we get into letters to my sis, because I really do want to get right into that next. But just to hear that, I'm like, I just want to know what was life like for you during that time.
Life was definitely lifing. A lot of learning who I am, where I belong, trying to find me at the same time raising a child.
Right.
A daughter, I had no idea on how to properly do it. Of course, parenting does not come with a manual. So you learn as you go, you learn as you grow. But that transitional period was a transition. I went through a lot of not loving me, very just not loving me, and just giving everything to my daughter because that's all I had to give, and not knowing that because I'm not giving to self, I'm really not giving her everything that she needs.
Pouring from like an empty cup, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, I was definitely pouring from an empty cup.
So I would like to start to speak on self-love since we're here. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's dig into that because, even with me, my personal journey, this ladies in motion thing came from after not putting Mercedes first for some time, and then, God speaking to me, and I had a Sunday school teacher when I was younger. She used to say, you got to love God, then you love yourself, and then you love others. So I made this acronym for ladies in motion. I always say the L is for loyalty. You got to be loyal to God first. Then you be loyal to yourself. Before you loyal to the next person, whether it's a friend, relationship, whatever your job, whatever it is, it got to go in that order or it ain't going to work.
Right.
You know what I mean? Exactly. So I'm a firm believer in that. Like everything, it does start with, God, then self, before you can pour out into others. And you're in this empowering women's space. So you can't do that if Missy ain't right.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So tell me, what was your journey to self-love like? When did you recognize, okay, I haven't been loving myself. Okay, I take accountability, but what am I going to do next? And just tell me what the beginning of that healing process and that journey up to self-love was like.
Okay. Well, let me just put this out here. Love is a word that we often use, but very seldom implement in self. And that was my problem. I know what I wanted. I know what love looked like, but I was giving it to everybody else and never receiving it. So with that, when you're giving so much to everybody that's connected to you, like you said, are pouring from an empty cup, but try pouring from that empty cup continuously and have nothing. You can't do that. You have to pour into yourself or else you're going to break. And that's exactly what I did.
And so your breaking moment was when you said you was at Reading Park. And so how does a person get to that moment? Because, just looking at you today, my mom always said, I don't look like what I've been through. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And you
shout out to mama.
Shout out to my mama, queen raised baby. I love her so much. And she was queen raised too. Shout out to my grandma. I'm telling you. But yeah, just tell me, how does one even get to that point? And looking back, is there something that you could have even done to prevent yourself? Like, okay, I feel myself getting into this space. Let me get up out of it. Or, you just found yourself there. Tell me about that. And then
you're gonna make me cry here.
This is cry. It's called talk it out, but you can cry it out. Laugh it out, whatever you need to do. This is a vulnerable space. People need to hear and see this. You know what I mean? One of my really good friends lost her brother to suicide. I know people who have lost their lives to that. Somebody really close to me one time having the conversation, man, I see why people off themselves. I'm like, man, don't speak like that, but they're like, man, life just get hard. I understand the feeling of being overwhelmed. So, people don't talk about this enough. So kudos to you, honestly, being open enough to share your story and be vulnerable about it, because a lot of people won't tell their testimony. And it's not like, we ain't getting up in your business, but the purpose of this show is to empower, inspire, uplift, you know what I mean? Encourage somebody. And if somebody else is feeling like this, they waiting for this episode right now. Yeah. And what we talked about, purpose today, right?
Yes, right. That was confirmation.
So here it is, more confirmation.
So it's not about getting in my business, because I now know that my business is a blessing to somebody else. So leading up to that moment of reading a park is what you asked me, right?
Yeah.
I was giving so much to everybody, and like I said, I wasn't giving to self. So this is years of giving so much to everybody. And I was good at I was a functional depressant.
Mm-hmm. And you hear about that often. That's a regular thing.
Yeah, I was definitely a functional depressant. I was operating. I was still going to work smiling. I would take the stress from work. I would come home, still be dealing with stuff at home. I dealt with some blended family things. I dealt with that blended family by itself. I dealt with that. So I was giving, all of this stuff was just weighing on me to the point that I said, you know what? It kind of felt like all my life was a struggle. Mm-hmm. So I said, why am I here?
Right.
Why am I here? Mm-hmm. What am I good to anybody? Because I'm not even good to myself. Mm-hmm. I'm tired of giving everybody all of me, and I'm not getting anything back in return. Mm-hmm. So that was a breaking point for me. Mm-hmm. And I believe something happened that just broke me. I think it was with my daughter. She was at her age of becoming grown, and everything. She had her baby, and it wasn't, and I think that was just more magnified because I was tired. Because it really wasn't, looking back, it really wasn't that bad, but it was magnified because as I said, my cup was empty. And I just got to the point one day that I remember I was upstairs in my room, and my husband was downstairs. My son was in his room. And I just screamed real loud, and I just grabbed my gun, and I just ran down the stairs, and my son saw the gun in my hand, and he was like, "Mom, what are you doing? What are you doing?" I said, "Just leave me alone, just leave me alone." And my husband jumps out from his man cave, and he's trying to chase me, and I just jumped in the car, and I just drove off. Yeah, I just drove off because I know if he would have caught me, I would still been probably living in misery, and I just was tired of living like that. I was in an eternal battle with self that I didn't even know or didn't even realize or didn't even feel like I could ever get out of. So that's where I ended up at Reading Park. And when they tell you, like, look at you, got me crying. When they tell you the enemy, and then you got God on one shoulder, but you got the enemy on another shoulder. And all I'm hearing, and I hid, so they couldn't find me. My daughter actually came to Reading Park looking for me, and she could not find me. I knew that she would come looking for me. I knew that they would come look for me, so I could not. I made it sure I could not be found. So I'm sitting there, and I'm clicking the gun, and I hear, "Do it," real loud. I'm hearing, "Do it, do it, do it." Like, it's so loud. But then I hear a soft voice say, "Don't you dare give up. Don't you?" It's so soft and subtle. Don't you dare give up. I got so much for you. Don't you dare give up. And it was at that moment that the soft voice was speaking louder than the louder voice. And I was just like, my phone was ringing. People were calling me. I just threw the phone down and say, "Do it, do it." And I'm just right there. I just finally put it to my head. And I promise y'all, I don't know how my husband found me. I still don't know to this day how my husband found me. I was down with the gun to my head. I looked up, and it was just like a vision I've always saw as a little girl, like a knight in shining armor. Wow. I didn't see my husband at that time. I promise you all, I saw a knight in shining armor. And that was something that I always used to dream as a little girl, of a knight in shining armor coming to rescue me. And my husband yanked that door open, and he grabbed that gun, and I just fell in his arms. At that time, and I said, "Well, how did you find me?" He said, "Don't worry about that.
Don't worry about it."
So when I tell you, I love that man, I honor that man, I respect that man, because he allowed the Spirit to use him to come find me. And at that moment, I found me.
I love that.
I found me. And the transitional period when I really fell in love with me, finally, I remember I started my life journey.
Really? That lock journey gonna do
I
it.
started my life journey because you know when you go to the shop and you thinking you're gonna get out of the chair, you're gonna be looking real cute, you know. I got out that chair and I was like, what the world?
Right. I'm telling you, it's a humbling experience. You see all my glory now, but it's a humbling experience.
But that was the time that I was in. He said it's time because I had a t-shirt business. Everybody know I had a t-shirt business. It was called Missy Tees. I had a t-shirt business.
So you already had that.
I had Missy Tees, but even when starting that, and my sister April, shout out to April, can attest to that. I always wanted to do t-shirts that's going to motivate women because of what I went through, because of me sitting at Regan Park. Because when you're in a situation that you're feeling so alone, you know, you think you are alone. You think you're the only woman that's dealing with this issue. But it's so many more people that are here dealing with stuff and that can help you get through it. So everything that I've been through, it wasn't for me.
Yeah.
It was for this. Until I have the last breath in my body, I'm going to make sure that I impact, empower, motivate, celebrate, and elevate any woman that I come in contact with. Because I now know my purpose and God's plan for my life. And when you know your purpose and God's plan for your life, you wake up saying, hey, what you want me to do today? What's on the agenda today?
Right.
You know, so that's what birth letters to my sis.
And that's what birth letters is.
That's what birth and letters come from. When I used to get in trouble, my grandma used to write me letters. My grandma, see, rest in peace, grandma. She used to write me letters all the time with angels on them and just say, baby girl, or just Miss Muffin, that's what she called me, Miss Muffin, you just gotta do this and do that. And those letters really stuck to me. And so when I send apparel out, I put a letter in there.
I love that, Missy. I do.
Yeah, so
okay. So that's said a lot. I love it. I appreciate your vulnerability again, just to see this side of you. Because like I said, we met at work.
Yeah.
I'm doing my job. I go through. I'm just chopping it up. We always cross paths. Missy. And I remember when I first moved back, us coming in contact with each other, and you like. We had been looking for each other.
Yep.
It's like, man, I've been looking for your face. Okay, good. Now I know. Now it's locked in. So, it's just nice because I feel like a lot of pain does push us to our purpose. Yeah. But because the pain was so maybe traumatizing, we just want to prevent the next woman or young lady from going through that. And that's why, it motivates me to walk boldly in my purpose. I lost a friend a few weeks ago, and that. And thank you. Yeah. That sad situation though has motivated me though to walk boldly in the purpose though. Like, cause time is not on our side. You know what I mean? We don't have all the time in the world. So while we're here, we gotta be strategic and intentional with our time. We gotta be resilient to be strong enough to get through those hard times because souls are at stake. That's what what I mean? And what if that night would have happened every day? I wouldn't know you. Yeah. You know what I mean? We would never met. And we got purpose to do together. You know what I mean?
Yes, we do.
And we've said that since we met each other.
Yes, we did.
So I'm just super blessed to have you. Grateful for you telling your story. I feel honored to even see this version of you today. So letters to my sis. You started that. You had your first event.
Yes.
Let's talk about the event, the brunch that you had.
Yes. So I had I've been wanting to do this brunch for years. So I finally stepped out on faith that I did it last year. My first one was Women of Power. So the brunch is always going to be letters to my sis, Women of Power, because we hold so much power as women and we just need to tap into it. So the goal for the brunch is to help people tap into the power that they have within, to let them know that you are stronger than you ever think you could be. And if you have a group of sisters around you that's going to help push you and elevate you, the sky has no limit for you, sis. At all.
And I truly believe that. And you truly believe that.
Yeah.
Like, I want to bring something up. Because I seen, again, you just have the best energy. And you encouraged me the other day when you were saying you got off your long day of work. And you said, listen, y'all, I got off work. I came right into this office and I got right to work for letters to my sis. You know what I mean? And you were saying that you was up. It was like 12:56, past midnight. And you were saying, I done typed up this document. And right when you were about to save it, it deleted.
It deleted.
You lost the whole document.
Did it twice.
So you said, and it did it twice.
It did it twice. Yes.
And then you talked about, listen, I can't let this get me down, but I know this is a test, you know, and you just talked about how you're going to take your little moment, but you're about to finish it. You're going to do it again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Let's just talk about that moment in all the moments. Because I think when they get into entrepreneurship, oh, start this movement, this brand, no one gives you this blueprint. You know, it's hard to find a tribe sometimes. You'll know people's intentions. Yeah. So it's like hard sometimes to like, you know, stay encouraged during this. So if that, I don't know, I might have went to sleep. I don't know. No. But just for that to happen like twice, you know, let's just talk about those moments in entrepreneurship though, where it's maybe not going as planned, that gave, you know, that got you to where you are today. And will there be another brunch this year?
There will be. So let me tell you, entrepreneurship is not for the weak. And it just doesn't stop in your office. Like, you have to understand that your calling is so much bigger. You're going to get tested each and every day. If you know your purpose, you have to really be careful when you're out in this world and who you're interacting with and what you're involving yourself in. And you have to be ready to work. Just like you give that time to that 9 to 5, give that time to your passion that you have, your purpose that you have. And I stayed up to 4 o'clock in the morning. And I still have not, let me tell y'all something. I have not had a night, I haven't even had 6 hours of sleep this week. At all.
But you put that time in.
But you put that time. This is the behind the scenes things that you don't see. So you can say you want it, but the question I have is, how bad do you want it? Do you want it enough that you're going to stay up at night? Do you want it enough that when those documents delete twice that you're going to keep going?
Right.
How bad do you want it? And that's my thing. So, and like you said, resilient.
You gotta be
resilient.
I'm telling you. So, you know, I've been mentioning this whole thing about playing your cards right in 2025. You gotta have courage.
Yeah.
You gotta have accountability. Yeah. You know what I mean? You gotta be resilient in this season.
Absolutely.
Right? You gotta have discernment, and you gotta strategize and stick to the plan in this season for real. Because I know me, like sometimes I'll have the whole blueprint, but I just won't put the action behind it. Or it was like, put on the back burner, another plan. But it's like, no, it's time to be strategic in this season and really stick to the plan. You know what I mean?
So absolutely right. I was the serial entrepreneur, you know, the travel business, the this and this, and I still love my travel business, but I have a higher calling right now for letters to my sisters. There's some sisters out here that's hurt. It's some sisters that need to hear my story. Like I said, I can be talking to you all day about some things that I've been through. That's on another day, another time. But I'm telling you, it's some sisters out here that really need me. And I'm going to meet us. Sis.
Yes, right.
Meet us, sis.
I'm telling you.
We
out here, okay? I love that. But honestly, this is what this is about. Just encouraging people to walk boldly in their purpose, because honestly, just time is not on our side, and people need it. It's needed now more than ever. I truly believe that. So, where can we stay in contact with you? I have a million other things to just think about, but just let's say that real quick, because you're a life coach and a mindset coach. Like, how do you, balance that? How do you find the confidence to even do that? You know, like, how do you feel like you have got your mindset to a particular place? Because I've said to so many people sometimes, they'll say things, and I'm like, listen, the fact that you're saying that, let me know what your mindset is like. And that mindset is everything. It is. So I just want you to tap a little bit into the mindset, and then let us know where you follow you, stay in contact, what's next, the brunch, when can we expect, maybe not, even if it's not an exact date.
I got
just let us know.
I just got a confirmation on the place today.
So look, this is a Talking Out exclusive. Okay. So let us know.
So mindset is definitely everything. You just said it. It's everything. It's like whatever you put in your mind. I say this a lot. And I'm looking at you, sis, because I don't know, I feel a sister is looking at this today, and I need you to really hear this. Whatever you say in your mind, it comes out your mouth, and it becomes your reality. Whatever you say in your mind, it comes out of your mouth, and it becomes your reality. So you must guard your mind to make sure whatever's coming out your mouth is the reality that you've already predestined for your life. Okay, sis? I had to say that, because when you think, oh, I'm this, or oh, I'm that, that is what you're going to be.
Yeah.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
And so you have to really learn how to transition that mind. So me, because I had dealt with a lot of things with the mind, what other way to specialize in mindset transformation?
Yeah.
And with mindset transformation, it's basically you turning the things that you did have in your mind, the negative things, or even if it's, oh, I'm fat,
Mm-hmm.
or I'm not, this, or I'm not that. So what are you going to do about it?
Mm-hmm. Right.
What are you going to do about it?
Mm-hmm.
Just like with me, as I told you, and I'm being vulnerable right now. Like I deal with, if I can be vulnerable on this show,
Mm-hmm.
I deal with perimenopause.
Mm-hmm.
I'm dealing with that right now, perimenopause. And my weight fluctuates.
Mm-hmm.
It goes up and down. So I have to find myself. You asked me, how do I deal with it? Sometimes I have to check myself.
Okay.
Because mentally I deal with things like, oh my God. And even coming here,
Mm-hmm.
I'm bloated. Am I going to come over here and look crazy?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But you know what? I don't care how I look, because it's not about how I look. Mm-hmm. It's about the lives that I want to impact. Mm-hmm. It's about me being here and you knowing the time and the day that we needed to be here. Mm-hmm. All that other stuff don't even matter to me, because somebody is going to get blessed by by seeing this. Somebody is going to be inspired, mm-hmm. be motivated, mm-hmm. be empowered, mm-hmm. be impacted. Mm-hmm. And we are going to continue to celebrate you as women, mm-hmm. because of this. Mm-hmm. So having that strength to deal with the mind is still something I have to kind of give myself coaching, and actually have a coach. A coach needs a coach.
I was going to ask you that.
Yeah,
too.
a coach needs a coach, because mm-hmm. I have to get checked in, and when my cup is empty, mm-hmm. I need to be refilled. Mm-hmm. So it's sometimes people will call me and say, hey, I need your help on this. I can't give it to you right now, because it wouldn't be, whenever I hug you, mm-hmm. I want to have purpose of that hug.
And that's so healthy. Yeah. That's a part of self-love, having boundaries. Yeah. You know what I mean? I learned that, mm-hmm. And I was feeling guilty about it sometimes, mm-hmm. but I'm learning that that's a part of self-love, mm-hmm. having boundaries. And if you can't respect my boundaries, you don't love me no way. Exactly. So you don't deserve to be any closer than where you already are. You know what I mean? Exactly. So I love that. Yes. What letters to my sis? Let me just tell me about that. Okay. What is the date for this year? What can we expect from this year? Yes. Tell me a little bit about that. Letters to my sis. Women of Power brunch will be held every September. September 10th is my birthday. Okay. So each year I like to give back. Mm-hmm. I don't want to give anything. I want to give back. So each year I'm committed to giving back to women. And we start off with a brunch, which will be held this year on September 13th. The location has just been finalized today. Congratulations. Thank you. The deposit has been put down. Just excited about what's gonna happen. It's gonna be really, really good. I'm not gonna give them too much information. No, it's too early. But I promise you, when those tickets go on sale, you want to grab your tickets. Mm-hmm. Last year, it went on sale the first week and it sold out the first week. Okay. Yeah. So you go ahead and grab the tickets. I did extend it this year to 100. I only have 50, but I'm not going to go over 100 because I like to keep it intimate. I like that. Yeah. So it's gonna be, I'm 100 this time. So I gave you a chance when it go on sale, mm-hmm. get your tickets. Mm-hmm. And I can be found on social media. Yep. I'm in the process of revamping my page. Hopefully somebody out there will see this, because the sister need help. And I'm not even ashamed to tell you that I need help, mm-hmm. in the social media realm of things. But it's letters to my sis, and that's LETTERS, the number 2, and then my sis, on Instagram, on TikTok, and also on Facebook. So you can find me on all of those. And then my name is Missy Riley on Facebook. I do a lot of motivational speaking things on that page as well. So yeah. And she has a shirt business. Yeah. They made this shirt. Letters to my sis. Mm-hmm. And she has some apparel, some motivational apparel, some really cute shirts that I've seen online. Yes. So, follow her page, follow the brand, follow the movement. If any of these resonate with you, you don't want to miss it. You have some really cute shirts. Can you tell us what some of them said? Yes. So each shirt that I have right now is basically me telling my story. So I have one that says, sis, don't you dare give up. Like I stated, I was at Redan Park with the gun to my head, ready to give up. And the small voice whispered, sis, don't you dare give up, or don't you dare give up. Mm-hmm. And then
I have one that says, "Since you are beautiful, receive it." In the midst of me having my daughter and gaining the weight after having her, I was told that I wasn't beautiful. I was told that nobody would want me anymore, and all of that stuff. So my self-esteem went under the ground. I would walk with my head held down, would not look at you eye to eye because I was ashamed of how I looked, and I let somebody really get into my mind and my body. I mean, get into my mind to make me feel like that wasn't who I was anymore. So that "Sis, you are beautiful" was birthed out of that. I have "Sis, you are pressure." Apply it.
I love that one.
Yeah, you are pressure, baby. Apply it. You have to know what you are capable of and what you have. So you are precious, sis. Okay. And then I have "Sis, you were created to win." Because where I'm from, they didn't never teach us that we were created to win. They taught us we were created to survive.
Right.
And it's like, shout out to No-Go, North Chicago. People hear North Chicago and think it's the north side of Chicago. It very much is not. And when you go there, you would very much see it's not. It's definitely it's definitely a city. It's a smaller city, probably about 30-40 minutes away from the city. And it's just like Decatur, like that area and everything. And man, it made me who I am today. So shout out to No-Go. We call it No-Go because you don't want to go.
Don't do No-Go. Don't do No-Go.
I stand. No. Don't get me wrong. That's my city, and I'm gonna stand with them. Yeah, we gonna ride together because that's my city. That city made me.
I cannot wait for September 13th, 2025, y'all. I'm getting my ticket now. I cannot wait to be in the building. I hate that I was in Florida last year, but I'm going to make sure I'm in the building this year. Because even just from watching the content from online, it's so good. Even just your mom, I seen her just give you your flowers. She's so proud. And it was just a really good event. I'm like, Lord, I'm going to be in the building. The Lord is willing, I'm going to be in the building this year,
I would love for you to say something while you're there. I would love that.
We got it. We gonna talk then.
Yeah,
okay?
I would love that.
Yeah, I would love to. Just let me know.
Okay.
But I'm so excited. I don't even want to end the episode.
I know, right? We gotta do this again.
We gotta do this again. Do you have anything else you'd like to say? I want you to repeat the mindset and the mouth. I want you to repeat that. We gotta end with that. That was just good.
Let me tell them this. And this is something that I tell everybody. If you want to go to the next level, I'm gonna give you the recipe to get to that next level. I want you to listen up. So I want you to come up and go, right? So in order to get to the next level, you must learn how to ignore ignorance, neglect negativity, and disregard disrespect. As hard as it may be.
That's good.
But I'm telling you, that next level is not for the weak, baby. Next new level, new devils. And each point, remember, neglect negativity, disregard disrespect, and ignore ignorance. And I promise you, you will be ready for the next level.
Listen, that was so good. We're going to end the episode with that, y'all. I need you all to follow Letters to My Sis on social media on all platforms. Y'all, we got a great event coming in September. You do not want to miss it. Make sure you're following Ladies in Motion on all platforms, ladiesinmotion.llc, Talk It Out, LIM. This episode will be available on Apple, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. And I cannot wait to see you all next week on the couch again. Black History, self-love, Valentine's Day. It's a whole bunch of winning going on this month. So y'all make sure you stay tuned for just more women that's winning and what God is doing amongst his people.
Doing some good things.
Oh my God. She's doing some great things.
Yes.
And stay ready. So you don't have to get ready.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like, seriously.
That's the message. I'm telling you. I lost my friend a few weeks ago. And we was talking about, like some of our last conversations was talking about staying ready so you ain't got to get ready.
Yeah.
Walking in our purpose because death is promised to everybody. So we got to make sure we go out in our purpose. So when God's plan prevail, we can go on to be with Jesus, walk in the full glory of what God got for us. We was talking that beat. You get what I'm saying? So, we got to stay ready so we don't get ready. Then Tia Crockett, shout out to Tia Crockett. She was telling the story. Was it Tia? But she was telling the story about the virgins and how it was the 10 virgins that getting ready for the groom and the 5 virgins, they was good and they was ready. But the one, once the groom finally arrived, now they got to go get ready. And then when they came back, knock on the door, they wouldn't let him in.
Yeah.
Like, you too late.
Too late.
Oh, but I had to go get. No, you should have been ready. So when the time comes, you was ready for it, and sometimes that's what it is. So I'm in my get ready season. Hey, I'm in my ready season.
I can say ready because we done got ready.
We ready here.
We done got ready.
Walking in it, okay?
We done got ready.
If you are listening to this, I'm telling you, get ready and stay ready. Yes. So you don't have to get ready when that time comes.
That's right.
And just, be encouraged to walk boldly in your purpose this season. And I will just see you all again here next week. Make sure you follow Missy. It's just so many great things happening. I don't want to stop. And I just want, I just can't wait for you all to just know the lineup for the rest of the month is so great. Going into March, it's just a whole lot of women that's winning. So yes. I'll see you back here Wednesday, y'all. Next week. Bye.